All right, Andrew, hit us with the spoiler cast theme song for this week.
Aaron, I'm going to need your help here.
Oh, okay. What do I need to do?
We just killed everybody that was wearing headphones right there. Rest in peace, headphone wearers.
Was there? I don't remember that being as prominent in the new one as it is in the old anime. When I watched the old anime, it was like, and it's amazing. Like when that sound. By the way, if you don't know, that's the sound cue from the movie. But
it was in the credits.
Is that where it was in the credits? Yeah. Okay,
I thought it was a Sergio from one of the spaghetti westerns.
Sergio Leone.
Yeah. Did he compose that, actually?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe that he did.
Because that was my first thought when you first started doing that. Spaghetti Western.
No, it's the original anime has it in it. Well, welcome to the Spoiler Cast. Every week, we do record some spoiler thoughts for those who have already seen the movie. We also like to make sure the Spoiler Cast theme song is different every week because, there has to be something that we're not giving away.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get into this. By the way, make sure you listen to the actual podcast first before you listen to spoilers for a couple reasons. Number one, we're not necessarily going to touch on all those review points again. Number two, we're not going to assume that you haven't seen the movie. So we're going to be skipping around talking about stuff. And if you haven't seen the movie, a lot of this isn't going to make any sense to you.
Also, we might be talking about the anime film a little bit as well.
That's true. Yeah. So if you haven't seen the anime film and you don't want to be spoiled on that, you may want to be aware to wait as well. So now we got that out of the way. Let's talk about some spoilers for Ghost in the Shell. Differences are an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah.
We can kind of go that route if you guys want to, or if you have specific moments that you want to talk about or specific things. I'm open to whatever conversation you guys want to have.
I'm going to be jumping ahead really far into the film, but it's something that a lot
all
of
the
people
way to the spider tank?
Yeah. We're going to be talking about the whitewashing in this movie
real
quick. So in this one, her name is technically Motoko as it was in the anime. She was Major Motoko in the anime. But in this one, she started off as a young Asian girl named Motoko. She was kidnapped by this organization and turned into a white person.
Right.
Very racist, very get out. Think about it that way.
Yeah.
And she isn't the only one. A bunch of rowdy teens are being kidnapped and turned into white robots.
Yeah. It's really weird.
That is, if you have a problem with the whitewashing, physically taking an Asian person and making them white in a movie, like that's part of the plot, is something that maybe that wasn't their intent. It was, but that's how it comes across.
Well, it could be read, I mean, you could, if you wanted to, read it as a cultural discomfort with their own race. Like, you could read it as their desire to be something different or, be something, because there are many, and here too, we have a fascination with people from other cultures and other races and those kind of things. But you're right, it's a reverse Get Out. It really is in many ways. So what was the question? Because was the question you were going to ask Daniel in the podcast proper about the whitewashing stuff?
And part of what you were exactly talking about for how they were turning them into white robots. Mm-hmm. And I knew that in the original source material that it is not a white Caucasian female lead. And with that being the case, I was curious to know if that was their intent in the original source material to end up kind of having this society, this future that they're manipulating to control them to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how they were in the
Well, that's what I'm saying. It can be interpreted that way.
Because I interpreted this as they're trying to control the future, what they're wanting, I guess, kind of controlling a society of how genetically they would want their robot, so to speak, to be designed. Like, and so I was curious if they originally had that in the original, or at least that was their intent.
Not that I can remember. Then again, the movie is so out there, you can pull anything you want from the original anime, and you can probably make an argument as to that being a part of the plot.
Yeah.
But another thing that I wanted to talk about that is completely different from the anime is the fact that she is the first of her kind in this one.
Yeah.
She is not the first of her kind in the anime.
No, it's just part of the
It's just
existence.
part of the world.
Yeah.
She is the first, quote-unquote, person. She's a cyborg where her entire body is animatronic, but her brain is human.
That's a success.
Yeah, that's successful. Correct. That's the big reveal in this, is that she was not the first. Michael Pitt's character, who is nothing at all like the doll or the puppet master in the anime.
No, in the anime, I don't even know that the puppet master really is in it, other than through taking control of
others.
Yeah, others, like the woman who gets hit by the truck, and he takes control of her upper torso because she got hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Which, good time to say, the original anime much more violent than this one as well. So
and a lot more nudity.
Yeah.
So
that was what my wife said when we watched the original anime. She was like, "Oh, they have nipples?" I was like, "Yeah, actually, in the original anime they did. But nope, they didn't in the new one."
So, in the anime, the puppet master is straight up just this AI that has, developed its own consciousness. In this one,
it's almost like Ultron.
Exactly, yeah. Or HAL 9000 in a way, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But in this one, Michael Pitt's character was a unsuccessful attempt to create what the Major is now. And he is now seeking revenge on the corporation that left him to die. And
see, I think that makes sense. I think that really ties the story together nicely. Like,
Yeah.
The original... So tell me the story in the original anime as you see it. What is the overall point of that plot? It's just her philosophical discovery of herself?
The philosophical discovery of not only herself, but what I gathered from the movie is, what is life?
Yeah, so it's just a really philosophical thing. There's not a lot of plot to it.
No.
It's more thought and theme and less plot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The movie itself, I think, was created to bring questions to the forefront instead of trying to tell a story.
Also, the original anime, by the way, ends really creepy in some ways.
Oh, yeah. They take her head that gets blown off and put onto a little girl's body. So it's this giant head on a little baby girl, because that was
it's both of them at that point, right?
Both of them.
It's the puppet master and her
sharing the same consciousness.
In this bobble-headed little girl.
It looks like a pop head almost. Yeah. But because that was the only, her body gets destroyed. The scene where
it's leading up to it in this movie, in a sense, kind of like giving a nod.
Well, no,
to that.
It's totally different in this. In this movie, she chooses to be, instead of going in with him to the network, she chooses to be human.
Yeah.
In the new one, so that's a huge difference.
Yeah. And the scene where she is ripping off the top of that spider tank, that's in there, but
that's shot for shot.
It's different circumstances as to why she's doing that,
but it is shot for shot.
Shot for shot.
Wow.
Yeah. Like she's pulling, and then her arm gets ripped off, and all that stuff.
Because she single-handedly destroys
that
spider tank.
But
thank you.
So going back to the basic synopsis, they find out that there's this hacker who is entering the minds of others, stealing information and trying to assassinate the leaders of this organization who created him. They don't know that's what his intent is initially, but it is quickly discovered that's what he's doing, and that leads Major Scarlett Johansson's character down this path to finding out that she was part of the exact same project that created him.
Yeah, and there were several versions. Like, it wasn't like he was the first even. Like,
there was 98, and she was the 98th. Which brings the question, why was she number 2571?
I don't know.
So, anyway, she is...
Because it sounds better than 98.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is from the original. Those numbers are from
2501 was the anime, I think.
Okay, all right.
So they just added 70 more numbers to it for some reason.
For some reason.
Yeah. What else? So, like I said, the story is... So now in this one, she has decided to help him and discover her own truth and her own past, because the truth she's been told for this past year as to who she is now has been a lie. She's been told that she was the victim of a terrorist attack while being sent over on a boat to the new, I guess this takes place in Tokyo, or it never says where it takes place.
No.
But she was on a ferry to this new place to live, attacked by terrorists. They took her brain, put it in this cybernetic body, and that has been her entire motivation for her new life, is to hunt down terrorists.
But it's a cover story.
It's a cover story. She got Jason Bourne, and her memory was erased, and she is now she was a victim of kidnapping for experiments.
Yeah,
and
and because she was anti-technology, she was with a group of youth that were anti-technology,
the pure humans. Mm-hmm. Because in the world they live in now, everybody's getting cybernetic upgrades.
By the way, I'm totally on board. Whenever it happens, I'm in.
I'm not there for the first iteration. I'm going to wait for them to get all the bugs and stuff out.
I'll test it out.
I love one of the guys on a team. He ended up getting, was it a new liver? Was that it? So he could drink more? Yeah. That was the new liver that he got, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because he just, I missed that part. He opened up and I missed what he got, in the exception of whenever he said so I could drink more. And so I assumed that it was a liver. But I thought, wow, that's actually pretty dangerous to have those upgrades for that reason.
That reminds me of the scene where they're interrogating the trash car driver, which is another thing taken from the original anime, but put
it was
in a
done
whole
so much better in the anime.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, because it's totally out in a different context. And there's this moment where she shows him a picture of himself and is like, "What do you see here?" And he's like, "I see my daughter." And he's like, "This is your daughter." When I watched that during the live action version, I was like, what is she? What? I don't get it. I don't understand. Yeah. And in the anime, it's so much clearer what's going on, is that he's been led to believe
that he has a family,
and all these things, and he actually doesn't, and that he's, tapped into his brain.
In the anime, after she invisible knocks him out and stuff like that, he says, there's no point in arresting me. I'm not going to tell you anything. And then Bato comes up. He's like, why would we ask you any questions? You don't even know your own name. And he's like, what? He's like, think about it. Do you even know your own name? And then it dawns on him in the anime, I don't know who I am. I've been doing stuff, and it just dawned on me, I don't know who I am. He's like, yeah, you don't have a family. Your memory has been hacked. And apparently that's a norm in the anime, is mental hacking.
Yeah, it's just a normal thing.
In this movie, it's something that's just happening now.
Bato, by the way, in the anime always has his mechanical eyes. It's not an accident or anything like that. Yeah. So yeah,
maybe,
that was different.
Do you think in this one they were just trying to answer questions for specific characters as to why?
Some of it.
Yeah, I don't think that it needed the. And
but it's so different.
I should have said
different.
This.
So they don't even need it.
I should have said this in the podcast proper. It seems like every single time there's a remake of a movie, I automatically say I like the original better. Mm-hmm. Maybe
that's natural. I think that's normal.
But I don't want it to come across as just because there's a remake, it's going to be bad. If you can change the story like they did in this one, and they also changed the story.
What about Jungle Book? You liked Jungle Book, didn't you?
I thought it was okay.
All right.
Yeah.
To make the story its own.
I thought I was disproving your point, but I actually proved it further. My apologies.
I like the original. But if you can tell a new story that is equally fascinating, just on a different road, you fork off on a different, but it's still just as fascinating, I'm totally on board for that. But if you change the story and it doesn't live up to what the original one gave us, and it doesn't have to be the same theme, like this one here is more not all the way action themed, but it's more action themed and less philosophical.
I just think they should have gone whole hog on the action stuff. I think this should have been an action movie.
Yeah. If you can make that work and make it good, more power to you. I will love that movie. But whenever you make a new movie and it doesn't live up to the same hype, or it doesn't live up to the same expectations, then I'm gonna knock you for it.
Yeah.
So,
some other differences in similarities. So other things they referenced was the spider tank grabbing him by the face.
It was her,
but it was her in the original anime. It was just her and the spider tank. It was a totally different kind of scene there. So there's that. There's the swimming scene is also in the original anime where Bato comes out on the boat and they have that conversation. So that's there, and all the, I call her Zero Suit ScarJo because the Metroid reference, but where she's wearing in the movie, it's almost like a suit that makes her go. But in the anime, I think it's just her skin. Yeah, I mean she's naked in the anime.
Yeah,
and in this she's also naked, but it's a suit naked. I don't know. It's a PG-13 decision.
Yeah.
right? Like that's basically what's going on there, I'm sure. But
Exactly.
And in the movie, it appeared like the suit that, when you're naked, you can be invisible, and so like the guy did it too, right? And it appeared like it was
he had on a jacket, like a cloaking jacket.
Well, I noticed the jacket in the anime,
yeah,
and it seemed like it was more of a technology. But in the movie, I thought it was more of something only these cyborgs could do because of the way their skin was made.
Maybe it was just because I saw the anime. I just assumed that it was the jacket, just like in the anime.
Because I thought he got naked too, and that's why he was able, or naked for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why his skin was able to be invisible too. But in the anime, it was just a technology. It was just you could cloak, with a jacket or whatever. So, yeah, it was definitely weird, the things that they chose to put in there and not put in there. Oh, the giant like holograms around the city.
No, not in the anime, but I'm glad they added it. It made it more, like you said, more Blade Runner-ish, and I thought it worked really well with the cyberpunk feel that was in the anime.
Yes.
Obviously, with the anime, you can't do all of that stuff because it would just be too much going on. You wouldn't understand it.
And that makes sense now, but when I watched the live action, that was one of those things I thought had to come from the anime. All those big holograms, I was like, oh, that must have been like a cool thing they did in the anime.
No, that's straight up original.
No, I know now. That's why I'm really glad I watched it.
There was a scene in this new one that, I don't know how you feel about it, but I thought it was one of the most pointless scenes in the entire movie. And that's whenever she finds the female escort, takes her back to her apartment and starts touching her.
I thought that was,
What was the point of that?
I think the point of that was actually what you liked about the anime. That was the one part of the movie where they tried to get a little philosophical about who am I and how am I different than you, and are you human and am I human? It was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be that philosophical thing that the anime did throughout the whole movie, but it felt out of place that's what I meant about going full action movie. Just, know what you are and go for it. But
yeah, maybe my interpretation of the philosophical aspects as far as what is life and stuff. I don't think Major ever questioned her existence in the anime. I thought what it was more along the lines was for the puppet master.
Agreed.
Is he a life form?
Right.
Is he a life?
Agreed. I'm not saying they're saying the same thing. I'm saying it was this movie's version of getting philosophical.
So that was your like they're trying to be philosophical just in a different sense.
That was what I was talking about when I was talking about not going full adaptation. It feels like it was still trying to be the anime in some of the scenes and the things it was doing, and other times actually be a different kind of movie.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Also, the big bad in this movie, the CEO of the corporation, he's not in the anime at all.
Was he supposed to be those guys that came into? You remember when he figures out the this is in the anime.
Yeah. He
figures out the weight is off in the elevator
because there's somebody invisible there.
Because there's somebody invisible there. You remember that?
Yeah.
Was the big bad in the live action movie supposed to be one of those guys that wasn't invisible that went in? Because he looked a little like him.
Maybe. It's been a hot minute since I've seen it.
Right.
But I don't know. And also, there's a character who's very prominent in the movie and in the series. He was a police officer who is completely human. And he is very underutilized in this new live-action movie. He has 2 lines, and he was actually one of the only Asian actors in the movie besides the main, or the head of the strike force, who only spoke in Japanese. Mm-hmm. Everybody else around him spoke English to him.
And he's supposed to be the same character from the anime, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember his name in the anime. Give me 2 seconds. It's Aramaki. Aramaki was his name in the show. And it's played by Takeshi Kitano. Very famous actor, by the way. Takeshi Kitano.
I didn't find it believable that he could use his briefcase to block that many bullets. I'm sorry.
Yeah. As cool as that scene was...
That was pretty cool.
I was like, yeah.
I'm also not a straight revenge guy, so the final revenge killing in this, since we're doing spoilers in the live action, I didn't like it. I was like, no, you don't do revenge. That's not my thing.
And there was no
Yeah.
there was no reason for Aramaki to be the one to pull the trigger. If
Yeah.
anybody's gonna pull the trigger, it should be Major.
Well, and they used the whole "I give my consent" thing, which was
Oh,
a
that
major,
was so annoying.
which is a major theme of the major thing. I didn't even mean to do that one.
I wrote that down actually.
A
when I
major
said it
theme of
earlier.
the movie. So.
Major, no pun intended.
You know,
Yeah.
there were a lot of moments like that. I feel like if it had more time, if it could have expanded and been more philosophical in a way that really dives into that, I would have been okay. But there were a lot of scenes like the shooting, the female escort touching her face, a lot of things like that. It would be interesting. I like the idea, but it was just so loose.
It was a mess. It really
Yeah.
was a mess. It just so much of it just didn't feel like it worked together.
This is in my top 5 most anticipated movies of the year, too.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that it did not live up to my expectations
Next
on what
up
I
for
wanted
disappointment, Dark Tower.
Oh no.
it to be. Daniel told me it just got pushed back again.
To August.
To
Did it
August.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
For
I'm
the
so
Emoji Movie.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, for
Andrew.
the Emoji Movie, it got pushed back.
Emoji Movie's going to be amazing. Everybody knows it. It's
I love TJ Miller.
going to be amazing.
Now, Andrew, I know you were talking about Ghost in the Shell being nervous, having reservations whenever you first saw and heard about this. Did your perspective change at all? Or if it did, how so?
I was
'Cause I was
nervous
curious.
in the sense that actually my what I was nervous about was well founded, that they were going to turn it into an action flick and try and steer clear and make it more what am I trying to say? Make it more appealing to a broader,
Mass
wider
audience.
mass audience, yeah. And that they were going to tone down all those philosophical
But see, I would have
implications.
respected that more rather than the halfway. You know what I mean? Do one or the other. Either keep
So
it,
go full John Wick.
Yeah, exactly. Either go full action movie or keep it to what the original was, which was really a thought experiment in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But don't go halfway because then it doesn't work. It doesn't feel like it fits together. So
And when
that's
you
me.
do that, you negate both audiences.
exactly.
So the people who are looking for the action flick are going to
They're
be
going to get bored.
disappointed.
Yeah.
And the people who are wanting that deep philosophical look, they're not going to get that either.
They're not going to get that either. Yeah.
I don't know who this movie appeals to. I really don't. I'm trying to figure out in my head, like,
People who want to see Scarlett Johansson in a bodysuit.
yeah, well, then go watch Under the Skin. She doesn't even have the bodysuit on.
Well, thanks. Thanks for tuning into the spoiler cast. We'll be back next week to spoil Legion Season 1, Big Little Lies Season 1. Probably not much spoiling to do with Smurfs. Spoiler alert. They're blue. And they say Smurfy a lot.
Is that really the only movie that's coming out next week?
There's another one with like Morgan Freeman, and it's like...
Is it the robbery one?
yeah,
The
I
heist
think
one with
so.
him
I
and
think
Michael
so.
Caine?
Yeah. There's nothing that I think most listeners are going to be like, ooh, I wonder what they think about that.
Yeah.
So, but there might be listeners who are like, I wonder what they thought of the first season of Legion, or I wonder what they thought of, first season of Big Little Lies. So,
Or Iron Fist.
We'll probably no.
I already gave my thoughts on Iron
I
Fist.
know, I know.
I'm not watching Iron Fist.
You know what?
I'm not going to do it.
You know what, Aaron? I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna make you happy. I started watching Daredevil again,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, Iron Fist wasn't good compared to this.
Good. Good to know.
Just watching how good Daredevil was, Iron Fist doesn't compare to this.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've heard, and that's why I'm staying away.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.